You know what nobody tells you? Most entrepreneurs don't quit because they're weak. They quit because the math never worked. We glorify the 1% who succeed and quietly bury the 99% who don't. Today we're talking about the part of entrepreneurship that hustle culture hides, the part they don't want you to see. Social media sold you a dream. Business influencers told you entrepreneurship equals freedom. Hustle bros said, quit your job today. YouTube gurus promised passive income. TikTok entrepreneurs showed you the car, the watch, the lifestyle. But here's the truth. Entrepreneurship is marketed like a lottery with worse odds. I've read hundreds of stories. Here's what people actually say. I worked 18-hour days. The business still failed. I burned out before I made a profit. I made money but lost my life. These aren't lazy people. These aren't people who didn't try hard enough. These are people who did everything right and still got crushed. Because hard work isn't the secret. It never was. Let's talk about why entrepreneurship fails for most people. Reason 1. It requires more than hard work. If hard work was all it took, the hardest workers would be millionaires. They're not. Burnout doesn't equal success. It equals burnout. Reason 2. Survivorship bias. We hear the winners, the success stories, the ones who made it. We never hear the thousands who went broke, burned out, and went home. For every Gary Vee, there are 10,000 people who tried the same thing and failed. But you don't see their TED Talks. Reason 3. No support system. Entrepreneurs have no safety net, no stable income, no coworkers, no backup plan, no boundaries, no paid time off, no mental health buffer. Employees? They get stability, structure, predictability. But hustle culture made you feel ashamed for wanting that. Let me be clear, there's nothing wrong with wanting stability. That's not weakness. That's sanity. Here's what entrepreneurship actually does to you psychologically. 1. It destroys your identity. If the business fails, you feel like a failure. Your worth becomes your performance. Your personality becomes your brand. Your life becomes your work. There's no separation, no escape. 2. Chronic stress and isolation. Entrepreneurs eat poorly, sleep badly, work nonstop, have no social life, stop doing hobbies, constantly feel behind. Your body runs on cortisol and caffeine, your brain never turns off. 3. False freedom. They told you entrepreneurship gives you flexibility right until the moment it takes your entire life. You're not free. You're owned by the business. You can't take a day off. You can't stop thinking about it. You can't fail. That's not freedom. That's a different kind of prison. Here's what nobody admits. Most entrepreneurs aren't chasing freedom. They're running from fear. Fear of being average, being stuck, being replaceable, being judged, being forgotten. Hustle culture knows this, and it exploits it. If you're not building a business, you're wasting your life. Employees are sheep. Work for someone else, and you'll stay broke. They shame you into entrepreneurship. Then when you fail, they blame you for not wanting it bad enough. But people are waking up. They're realizing the game was rigged from the start. Let me tell you who entrepreneurship actually works for. It works when you have savings, a support network, industry knowledge, mentors, experience, market validation, a high tolerance for uncertainty. It doesn't work when you're broke, when you're pressured, when you're scared, when you're burned out, when you're inexperienced, when you're doing it for social approval. If you started a business because Instagram made you feel like a failure for having a job, that's not a business plan. That's a trauma response. You can't build a sustainable company on shame and fear. Most people who try entrepreneurship aren't failing because they're not good enough. They're failing because they were set up to fail. Working for someone else is not a lack of ambition. It's choosing stability over chaos. Look at what employees actually get. Consistent income, PTO, support systems, clear expectations, mental space, a life outside work. You clock out and you're done. Your worth isn't tied to your performance, your identity isn't your job title, you can have hobbies, relationships, rest. Here's the big line. You don't have to build a business to build a meaningful life. Entrepreneurship isn't the only path to success. It's just the loudest one. And the loudest isn't always the truest. So let's redefine success. Success isn't a company, it's not a $1 million exit, it's not a 4 a.m. morning routine. Success is peace, stability, health, time, choice, balance, identity, joy. Real ambition isn't loud. It's quiet, intentional, and sustainable. It's knowing what you want and building a life around that, not around what some influencer told you to want. Ambition is working hard at something you care about without destroying yourself in the process. That's it. That's the whole thing. If entrepreneurship left you tired, ashamed, or defeated, you're not alone. You're not a failure. The system failed you. They sold you a dream that was designed to break most people. And when it broke you, they blamed you for not being strong enough. But you were strong. You just weren't supposed to carry that weight alone. One question before you go: what would your life look like if you stopped chasing someone else's definition of success? Subscribe for honest conversations about ambition, sanity, and rebuilding your life without the grind. Less hustle, more truth.